5 outfits, 4 days, 1 Australia tour, and somehow Meghan Markle managed to turn every single one of them into a controversy that had nothing to do with fashion. That is the thing about this story that nobody is saying plainly enough. The clothes themselves were fine. Some of them were genuinely lovely. But what happened around the clothes, the decisions made, the timing, the platform, the price tags, the context, that is where the real story lives. And that story is worth going through properly. So here are the top 5 fashion fails from Meghan's Australia tour. Not the worst outfits, the worst decisions connected to them. And I promise you that by the time we get to number 1, you will understand why some people believe this tour did more damage to Meghan's reputation than anything that has happened in the last 2 years. Before we get into it, if this kind of honest, detailed breakdown is what you have been looking for, subscribe right now. 1 tap, I will be here when you get back. Right, let's start with number 5 and work our way up, because this list builds, and the last one is the one that genuinely stopped people in their tracks. Number 5. The $34,000 outfit at the women's domestic violence shelter. Day 1, Melbourne, a women's domestic violence shelter. Meghan arrived in a striped navy apron, served frittata to residents, sat at the table, asked if anyone else was hungry. The gesture was warm. The intention was clearly genuine. By every account, the women in that room appreciated the visit. Now, let's talk about what was on Meghan's wrists and ears while she was doing it. Princess Diana's Cartier tank watch, approximate value $26,000, an $8,000 Cartier bracelet, $780 earrings, Dior heels, a dress that the fashion platform she has invested in subsequently listed at $1,746. The total value of what was on her body while she served food to women who may not have had a safe home to return to that night, somewhere north of $34,000, according to multiple calculations. One critic online put it simply, nothing like making those homeless women feel comfortable around you by shoving your money in their faces. That is a harsh way to say it, and defenders will point out, correctly, that the Diana watch is an heirloom, that it carries emotional significance that cannot be reduced to its market value, that the dress was an Australian designer, chosen specifically to support local fashion, that showing up at all was a meaningful act. All of that is true, and not a single person in Meghan's entire team apparently thought that the $26,000 watch might stay at the hotel for this one specific engagement. Not the stylist, not the publicist, not the image consultant, not Harry. Nobody. That is not a Meghan problem in isolation. That is a team problem. But when the team is entirely built around serving your image and protecting your brand, and this is what nobody on the defensive side of this debate wants to acknowledge, the team's failures are your failures. You hired them. You approved the look. The watch was on your wrist. Number 4. The Carey Mulligan colour clash. This happened just before the Australia tour, at a Netflix party in Montecito. But it is impossible to talk about Meghan's fashion story in April 2026 without including it, because it set the tone for everything that followed, and it is the moment that convinced a large portion of the watching public that something about the image management was going wrong. The evening was a celebration for a show called Beef Season 2. The guest of honor was the show's star, Carey Mulligan. The room was dressed in black and white, and Carey was in chartreuse, a vivid olive green. That was her color for the evening, her night, her moment. Meghan arrived in the same shade. The defenses are well rehearsed by now. Chartreuse was the trending color of spring 2026. Nobody could have known what Carey was planning to wear. It was a coincidence. The criticisms are equally well rehearsed. Meghan almost exclusively wears beige, white and black as a documented pattern anyone can verify from 2 years of public appearances. The one evening she chose bold colour happened to be the evening the guest of honour had claimed that exact colour, and a woman as meticulous about her public image as Meghan is, someone who invests in AI fashion platforms and has a team dedicated to styling every public appearance, is an unlikely candidate for accidental colour clashing at one of the most important industry events of her year. Whether it was deliberate or not, nobody outside of Meghan's private thoughts will ever know, but what it created was an image: 2 women in the same shade in a room full of black and white, and the woman who was supposed to be the guest of honour standing next to the woman who is always, somehow, the most discussed person in any room. That energy followed Meghan all the way to Australia, and it meant that every subsequent fashion choice was viewed through a lens of, was this intentional, that would not have been there otherwise. Number 3. The black tights in a 75-degree Australian afternoon. This is the lightest of the 5, the least consequential in any meaningful sense, but it is the kind of detail that becomes significant when people are already paying close attention to everything else. Day 3 of the tour, Meghan wore an army green dress with opaque black tights. The temperature was approximately 75 degrees Fahrenheit, warm, sunny, classic Australian autumn afternoon. A fashion commentator noted dryly that while 75 degrees would have most people jumping at the chance to ditch the jacket and jeans, Meghan practically opted for bundling up, breaking the nude pantyhose rule from her working royal days, which is her absolute right, but doing so in a way that read as slightly off for the conditions. And then, because it always comes back to this on this tour, the $55 tights were listed on the AI fashion platform the same afternoon, commissionable, available for purchase, another item from another appearance, feeding the commercial infrastructure that was running quietly underneath every public moment of this trip. In isolation, this is nothing, but in the context of everything else happening around it, the shelter visit, the Bondi listing, the hospital outfits available to buy within minutes, even the tights started to feel like part of a pattern that was making people deeply uncomfortable.
Number 2. The hospital visit and the fashion platform that never slept. Day 1. Melbourne, the Royal Children's Hospital. Harry and Meghan spent nearly 90 minutes with patients and their families. They went to the adolescent medicine ward. They met young people battling cancer, anorexia, serious illness. They took photographs. They held hands. By every account, the visit was genuine, and the patients and staff were moved. Within minutes of those photos being published, before the couple had even left the building, according to some accounts, Meghan's outfits from the visit were listed on the AI fashion platform in which she holds an investment stake, and from which she earns between 10 and 25% commission on every sale. A royal commentator described the timing as highly inappropriate. She said Meghan chose Australia as the location to announce her involvement in the platform while appearing alongside vulnerable children, including those battling cancer and anorexia. The outfit worn during the hospital visit was made available within minutes, a move she described as exploiting ill children to sell clothing for profit. That is the harshest possible characterization of what happened, and Meghan's team did not publicly respond to it. Here is the more charitable version. The platform uses AI to upload content automatically. Meghan did not personally list those outfits. The system does not distinguish between a charity gala and a children's hospital cancer ward. It sees an image and it processes it. That is what the technology does. But Meghan is not just a user of this platform. She is an investor. She announced her involvement in Australia. She chose the timing. She approved the commercial relationship. And if the AI system she invested in is uploading her outfits from a cancer ward within minutes of her leaving, then somewhere in the building of that system, someone should have thought about what it would look like when it happened, because it was always going to happen. Technology does not have feelings, but the people building commercial platforms around public figures have a responsibility to think about context, and that responsibility ultimately rests with the public figure whose name and face and investment stake are attached to the brand. The total value of the outfits listed from the 4-day Australia tour alone was estimated at close to $100,000. Every engagement, every appearance, every moment of connection with vulnerable people, with cancer patients, with domestic violence survivors, with veterans, all of it immediately converted into a shoppable edit. That is the system Meghan built, and that system is fashion fail number 2. Number 1. The Bondi Beach outfit and the listing that stopped the internet. The final day of the tour, the most sensitive engagement of the entire trip, Harry and Meghan visited Bondi Beach to meet privately with first responders and survivors of the December terror attack. 15 people killed, a community still grieving, a humanitarian stop that was framed by every official communication from the Sussex office as an act of respect, of listening, of acknowledgement. Meghan was dressed simply, a blue and white striped shirt, white sailor jeans, a navy cashmere sweater, trainers, sunglasses, a suede bag. The entire ensemble approximately $3,100 Australian dollars, modest by the standards of the tour, clearly chosen to be low-key and appropriate for the occasion. And then the photos were published, and within hours, the entire outfit was listed on the AI fashion platform. The striped shirt, the jeans, the cashmere sweater, the trainers, the bag, every item, priced, commissionable, available to buy. The listing appeared alongside an image of Meghan at Bondi Beach, specifically at Bondi Beach, the site of the massacre, with the subtext that you could now purchase the outfit she had worn to meet the people whose community had been torn apart by 15 murders. One royal journalist described the listing as selling the clothes off her own back at the site of a massacre and called it sickening. Another said Meghan had turned a blood-soaked massacre site into an online shopping mall. Social media went immediately and completely furious. The platform removed the image, not the listing. The outfits remained available to buy. They swapped the photo. Instead of the image of Meghan walking alongside first responders at Bondi Beach, specifically at Bondi Beach, the site of the massacre, they used a different image of her stepping out of a Range Rover earlier in the day. Same outfit, different picture. Problem technically solved, reputation damage already done. Defenders said Meghan did not upload the image, that the AI did it, that she was engaged in a genuine humanitarian act and should not be blamed for what the platform did automatically. Critics said she is an investor in the platform. She earns commissions from it. She chose Australia to announce her involvement in it. The system that monetized her visit to a terror attack memorial is a system she helped build and continues to profit from. And here is what nobody on either side has been willing to say cleanly. Both things are true simultaneously. The visit to the terror attack survivors was genuine. The first responder who was there said it was a mark of respect, and it was definitely appreciated. And the outfit she wore while showing that respect was on sale for commission within hours. Two truths, existing in the same moment, with no clean way to separate them. And that is the story of Meghan Markle's fashion in Australia. Not the clothes, the system built around the clothes, a commercial infrastructure so thoroughly constructed around her public appearances that it no longer waits for the appropriate moment to activate. It just activates, automatically, at the hospital, at the shelter, at the Bondi Beach Massacre Memorial.
Harry is reported to have grown increasingly uncomfortable with the commercial direction of their joint operation. A PR expert said during the tour that Harry belongs in humanitarian spaces and Meghan belongs in the lifestyle lane, and mixing them is hurting them both. 5 outfits, 4 days, and one question that the Australian fashion story raised more loudly than anything else about this tour. When does a brand stop serving the person and start consuming them? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me which of these 5 moments shocked you most, and subscribe if you have not already, because the follow-up on this story is coming very soon, and it goes somewhere you are not expecting. See you there.